Mate,
it's all happening down here.
It's only early. Yeah? Okay guys, so what brings you here today?
The energy.
I agree.
Yeah, literally everyone just being welcoming, like there's no like judgment, no nothing. Everyone can just do what they want to do.
Yeah.
We are also homosexual males here celebrating the LGBTQ community on this day, which is absolutely incredible, where everyone's spreading love and joy around, and it's an honour to perform in front of everybody and enjoy the atmosphere as well.
Is it fair to say you guys believe in equality?
Absolutely.
100%. I think everyone should have a voice and everyone deserves to be heard.
What brings you to Pride today?
Well, I'm actually here to see my brother, and it's more of a coincidence, but I'm very happy to be here, and it's a wonderful occasion.
Amazing. How about you?
Yeah, I am the brother.
Is it fair to say you guys believe in equality?
100%.
Yeah.
How would you define it?
How?
How would you define equality?
That's
Do what
hard.
you want without the judgment of other people.
Yeah. And like not enforcing your beliefs or the way you act on other people.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do. You do you, hun. Basically.
You do you, hun.
Yeah.
Basically.
So the way I see it is that we all have many differences, but we also have similarities.
Yeah.
And the similarities are the ones that matter. We all have the same capacities, you know? We all love, we all want to avoid things that harm us.
Yeah.
You agree with me there?
Yeah.
If I was to say to you, it's my personal choice to be homophobic, what would you say to me?
If you were someone that come up to me and said that, I would want to educate you. I'd want to help you. I'd want to show you how we can actually teach you that that's not okay.
Sure.
Because you don't get equality by suddenly shutting that person off as well.
Yeah.
You never know where they came from, so
No, that's a really good point.
it's all about teaching.
Because the way I've kind of seen it is we should have freedom of choice as long as our choices don't hurt others.
Yes.
So if what I'm saying is going to harm someone else, then there's a problem, and perhaps that could be a lack of education, could be anything, but it needs to be addressed. If I was to say to you guys, but it's my personal choice to be homophobic, what would you say to me?
I would say there's a difference there because with that viewpoint, you are actively propagating suffering upon people.
Absolutely.
If you're trying to push like a negative view upon people, that is a disservice.
Yeah.
Whereas if you adopt the viewpoint each their own, and everybody's entitled to a difference in an opinion, then there is a complete separation.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well put. It should be my personal choice to treat someone worse.
No, not at all.
Why not?
We're all the same on that level. We're all humans. You shouldn't ever treat anyone badly.
If what you believe is what you believe, keep it to yourself. If it's going to offend someone else.
Like I said, don't enforce what your beliefs are on other people. That's what it is.
Don't come around and be like, no, don't do this.
Yeah.
So a personal choice isn't personal if there's a victim.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
If we go back to the capacities we were talking about before, the capacity to love, wanting to avoid things that harm us, do you think that animals also share those capacities?
Animals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But I think it's something that maybe that we only understand a percentage maybe of the animal kingdom, as it were. And people say, there's some gay dolphins, or I watched a program, there was 2 dogs, and I was just like, it's interesting when you watch that, you're never really going to know what's going on in the animal kingdom. And I think people just assume, they get stuck with that stigma of, they're straight.
What if we go back many years ago and it was illegal to be gay? If I was to say to you then, yeah, but it's illegal and therefore it's wrong.
Yeah, for me, the law doesn't equate to what is right and what is wrong. So we have a legal framework in place that a lot of the time does a good service to what should be and what shouldn't be. But I think there's things that are illegal that should be legal, and there are things that are legal that should be illegal.
No, absolutely.
For me, it's not gospel.
When we were talking about the capacities before, the capacities we share, do you think that animals also share those capacities?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I don't eat meat, and I do my utmost to not eat animal products, and it's because I feel like they are sentient beings, and they have the same kind of feelings that we do. And why should we exploit them any more than we exploit a fellow human being?
If we go back in history to when it was illegal to be gay, if I was to say to you at that time period, yeah, but it's illegal, so therefore it's immoral, what do you say to me?
Just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
All wrong.
Absolutely, it's irrelevant.
Things now, that aren't right, that are illegal.
Because slavery was legal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
now-
you can't be like, oh, it's legal, so it's fine.
And if we go back to what I was saying before about the capacities we share, the capacity to love, the capacity to want to avoid things that harm us, Do you think that non-humans also share those capacities? So animals like dogs, cats.
No, 100%, yeah.
I would say this about the animal kingdom when it comes to animal rights. We struggle with human rights. We struggle with the fact that human rights on a daily basis, we have voices and we're still struggling.
Yeah.
So obviously with animals as well, people are putting their voice forward for animals and that's amazing.
Yeah.
But even the human voice sometimes really struggles. So
Absolutely. Do you think that our equality should be extended to animals as well?
yes, I do. I think that that's very interesting levels and depths that it would have to be explored into.
Yeah.
I do think that there's a lot of work on the human rights first. That's not to say that we shouldn't look into animal rights.
There would be an argument to say that like where we've come from, there has been like hunting and stuff like that, and like it's been a part of like where we've come from. So possibly, I don't know if you could tie that into like the moral side of stuff.
Do you think that just because something's always happened, does that make it moral today?
Good question. No, probably not.
Do you guys think that equality should also be extended towards the non-humans, the animals?
I feel like it already is.
Yeah, I think it's getting to that point. I think,
But it's us that have the problem.
but it's a survival thing. Like it's been like we've always, we've always eaten animal. It's always been meat eaters.
Could we also have said when it was illegal to be gay? Could we have said it's something that's always been the case? It's always been illegal. It's always been seen this way.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that.
Yeah, that's good though.
I was waiting for that. I was like, yeah, 'cause it's always been, right? Yeah.
That means you're thinking it through. That's good.
Yeah.
It's been ingrained into a lot of people in their life. I mean, you go back to thousands of years ago, people were hunting and cooking their own animals. They weren't going, oh, hold on, let me just have some oat milk or some soy milk.
Yeah.
So you're basically asking people to change hundreds of thousands of years of their mentality towards food. And yes, it is working in some extent. But for me, I think it's all down to taste as well. Because I've had vegan sausages and my thing is like, I don't think they should call it vegan bacon or like vegan chicken. I think that is misleading. I think maybe they should come up with a new concept and be like, don't call it vegan chicken because it's still got the word chicken in it. So you're basically saying, eat this chicken, but it's not chicken.
Yeah.
I think that there's still a long way to go with that.
There's a point in time where you would have said the sort of like systemic exploitation of women and like ethnic minorities is like maybe touch because we've just done it up until now, or just like eating caged meat is fine because we've done it up until now, and just because something is normative doesn't mean it's right. And I certainly think just because a lot of people aren't on board with the fact that like eating animals is okay, or think that like we've just done that the whole time up to now because it's evolutionary is okay, doesn't make us right.
Do you think there is any necessity in today's world to consume animal products?
You can have protein-infused food, so you don't necessarily need meat to survive.
Yeah.
So, no, you don't.
Would you say that it's cruel to harm an animal unnecessarily?
Unnecessarily, yeah.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
So by that logic, would it be cruel to consume animal products?
I
In a
mean,
sec,
it's not
yeah.
unnecessary if
The
someone's
lo-
eating it, right?
Sorry?
No, they're on about the actual farming of it originally.
It's
Yeah,
the
no.
farming that's the issue.
Exactly.
The farming is the issue.
On a
If we
large
go back in
scale.
time and we put ourselves back into the food chain, I don't believe that would be a problem. Because at the end of the day, if we were faced in front of a lion or a tiger, they would go for us the same way as probably we would go for a chicken. But it's the way that we produce them.
Should we use other animals as our role models? Because some lions will rape other lions. And if I was to say to you, well, I'm going to do it because a lion does it, you'd say it's irrelevant what the lion does.
He's good, isn't he? He is good.
He's
good.
Then that brings up whether something's right because socialization has taught us it's right, or whether it's right because it's actually right. What do we know? Do we know good is good because God has told us to do good, or is good something that was already there, or is it just the absence of evil?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose for me, I use empathy, and I think if I wouldn't want it done to myself, I shouldn't do it to someone else.
And I'll say this, and it's going to be our last wrap-up point because our agent's calling us to the other side. We've got an interview with Celine Dion. But we are taking this very seriously. I just like to mention this because we're still at Pride. But the one thing I will say is cost. Cost is very, very important.
Very expensive.
I actually work as a personal trainer. Nutrition, dietary, supplements, everything's very important to me. I love my Linda McCartney sausages, but you get 6 for, I think it ranges about £2.50 or something now. It is a cost thing.
Rice, beans, lentils, vegetables, cheapest food in the world, right?
I know, but I'm not very good at that. Some people as well, especially what you're trying to replace meat with, and the filling of meat is those sort of supplements. But I think the replacements will get better.
Sure, yeah.
It will keep growing. But unfortunately, like anything to do with life, it does take those steps. It can suddenly change overnight, but people like you are making that happen. Thank you so much. We are Chris and Graham.
There would be an argument to say, like, if you could purchase like organic stuff, things that have been possibly treated a bit better.
So when it comes to killing an animal, whether it's organic, free range, is there any ethical way in which to do it, to kill?
There's maybe like more ethical ways.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, there's like
You'd say the same thing about humans getting killed, right? There's worse and better.
Well, then it's like with humans, we're not eating them.
But if like the whole free range, if we're not like mass consumption and they're getting farmed like all the like chickens in cages, pigs are getting like it's just horrific.
I think the problem is it's mass like consumerism.
It is.
People that aren't even actually going to buy half of what's on the shelves.
Let's say I've got one animal in front of you, one Labrador, and I get a knife out, and I say, I enjoy the way this animal tastes, and I slit their throat. Is that wrong?
How would you like if the animal did it to you?
I'd hate it.
Then don't do it to the animal. Simple.
Is there any good way for me to kill that dog?
Yeah.
If it's at a point in its life that it needs to be killed.
If it's in its best interest,
Yeah.
if they're suffering.
I think there's a wordplay that needs to come in. The difference between murder and killing, and then slaughter. If you're slaughtering an animal, it's to eat. If you're murdering it, it's because you're just a dick. And if you're killing it, it's because you're a dick again.
But if we're slaughtering an animal for an unnecessary reason, does that make us a dick?
No, because you shouldn't slaughter an animal for unnecessary.
Right.
Unless it's literally like you have to do it.
I agree.
Then
So would you agree with me if I was to kill a dog or a cow or a pig or a chicken right now, would that be unnecessary?
Yeah, because you're not going to eat it.
If I was.
What are you
If you're
going to
gonna
do?
eat
Yeah,
it,
what are you going to do with it
if you're
after
gonna
you
eat-
I'm going to eat it.
If you're going to eat it, I'll ask you, there's a Tesco down the road. Go Tesco instead of killing it.
But what's the difference?
Because that shit's already dead.
Yeah, but it's supply and demand, right? If I buy a product, I'm voting with my money. If I buy something that comes from, if it's clothing, I'm voting with my money, and they produce more. So can it be morally justified? Can supporting the industries be morally justified if we don't need to?
I think there'll always be like a to and fro from it. I feel like that kind of dilemma will never be sorted because there's always going to be opposition sides.
What is it about the pig that makes it okay to kill them, but not the human? What is it about the pig?
I would say that there's probably like the fact that like we understand people, we have like language. The grey area sort of it starts to come from there. There's no like you can't speak to a pig, I suppose, and that's like where people probably remove the kind of the guilt, I suppose, with it happening.
Let's say if hypothetically we had a tribe that didn't speak English, we couldn't communicate with them.
Right.
I totally buy into this. Like
It's like you need to be on rations in a sense. Like it's like you should only have 3 portions of meat a week or whatever it should be, because that will enable us to rational.
If I was to tell you I'm only going to be homophobic 3 times a week, what would you say?
For real though, yeah.
Because if we were to establish that something is morally wrong, would it be wrong to do it once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week?
I think an opinion is different to like survival. What I'm saying is like meat eating has always been a survival. Being homophobic or racist is not a survival.
Right, but is it survival in today's world? For us? To eat animals.
Now because we've got everything that we need.
Right.
I'd say it comes down to net suffering or net not. So if it's better to be the pig than to not be the pig, right, then it probably is okay. So if you were born into a life, right, and you knew you had 20 years and you were going to go to a conveyor belt, a lesser scale at the end, and that was going to be the end. And the purpose for that was because there was something out there that was going to eat you. But the whole reason for your existence was that you were going to be eaten. Then the question is, like, is it better to be you than to not be you in that situation, right? So if you're given the conditions that make those 20 years fine, and at the end that's kaput, then probably there is a real moral argument for actually being you and then you being eaten there. But we don't have a lot of that in the animal world.
If I was to breed slaves, human slaves into existence, and they experienced amazing well-being, and then at the end I killed them, but it was a net positive.
Good. We're getting there is a conflict there between like the semantics behind the word slave and the conditions of that. Because my argument is like, you wouldn't be a slave in effect, in my mind, if those 20 years were a net positive.
So the human isn't a slave. They have great lives, and then I kill them after 20 years.
Yeah.
Would you see that as ethical?
In my mind, that is more called into like it's certainly more of a moral judgment than like what's going on now. It's less black and white than what's going on now. Yeah, for me,
But would the killing of that human still be wrong?
it'd still be justified. To
Unnecessary.
me, I think I'm juggling with this, man. I think if it's net positive, like if it's better to have those 20 years than to not. So I'd rather have 20 years living a good life as me and know that I'm going to be kaput at the end than to not have that at all.
You would find it ethically by your morals to kill humans if they had really happy lives 20 years.
Yes.
But we need to remember it's not just about eating.
Yeah.
Like it's about the clothes we wear. It's about the skincare products we use. It's all these things, all the testing that we do on animals.
Yeah.
That comes into it.
Would you rather live in a world that didn't hurt animals?
Yeah.
Would you rather live in a vegan world?
I mean,
I wouldn't.
I like KFC a lot, so that's.
Yeah, me too.
No,
Me
so
too.
do I, but you can get vegan KFC there now.
Yeah, I wouldn't rather, but I feel like we're on the right path to the solution to like replace what we eat.
Do you think that getting sensory pleasure can justify hurting animals?
No.
So if you enjoy KFC, is that a good enough reason?
But you just say, oh, there's vegan KFC. I have never tasted vegan KFC. I ain't tasted it, so I can't put an opinion on it. But
let's say it was horrible. Let's say that you loved the taste of KFC and the vegan stuff wasn't as good.
Then. Simple.
Yeah.
Someone will enjoy it.
You agree with me in saying that sensory pleasure can't justify hurting others?
Of course, that's like the same we're talking about animals. That's like rape. I might get pleasure out of raping someone, but that doesn't mean it's rape. Like,
No, it's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
so true.
So what would be the barrier stopping you from being vegan?
Because I like meat.
I like rape.
Legit.
And I think it all boils down to freedom of speech. Animals don't have freedom of speech, and because of that, we should be respectful and mindful that they might not have the same opportunities to speak up as a human would. And I feel like, because the lack of freedom of speech, they should literally just be left to do what the fuck they
If
want.
animals could talk, we wouldn't eat them.
Yeah,
We wouldn't.
simple that.
We wouldn't kill them.
It boils down to
That's
freedom of
literally
speech.
it.
Yeah.
If animals could talk, we wouldn't eat them.
But they do have a voice when they scream, which is we're not listening, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's hidden from us.
Yeah, you choose not to watch those documentaries on like the pig farming, chicken farming, everything else, or people choose to watch them and it sways their decisions other ways.
Yeah. Well, amazing. I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks so much. If I was to give you a card with a video, would you consider watching it?
Yeah, I'll watch it.
I'm Jack, by the way. Thank you.